I want to talk about this new Fox television series, The Exorcist, and why I find this show such a compelling new TV program that has recently come on the air. We're only about 3 episodes in now, and at first I didn't think I was going to like this show. I did give it a try, but now I find it compelling, and I want to talk about some reasons why. So let's begin. I thought I'd start with a little bit of an overview of the characters, and this is one of the major characters of the series, as you can see, played by the excellent actress Gina Davis. Her character in this program is called Angela Rance, and she is the mother in the Rance family, mother to Catherine and Casey Rance, whom you'll see later, and wife to husband Henry Rance. This is Henry Rance, patriarch of the Rance family, and as I said, father to Casey and Catherine, and husband to wife Angela. This is Father Tomas, a very young priest, and one of the very instrumental and pivotal characters of the series. As I said, a very young, inexperienced, and modern priest, if you will, just beginning his priestly career as a man of the cloth, and we will explain a little bit more about him later on. This man is Father Marcus Keene, and from his accent he sounds like he may be an Englishman, and he is the more experienced of the two priests of the series, probably mimicking, as in the old 1973 movie The Exorcist, probably mimicking the more experienced priest, the more experienced exorcist of that movie. That is what Father Marcus is supposed to be in this television series. Senior priest, exorcist, and, if you will, burgeoning mentor to Father Tomas. And Father Marcus is very instrumental and pivotal to the show, and we'll explain a little bit more why later on. This is one of the children of the series, the teenage daughter Casey Rance of the Rance family, and this is in fact the individual who we come to learn is in fact demonically possessed in the storyline. More about her later. This young woman is Catherine Rance, also known as Kat, and she is also, of course, important to the storyline as well. We come to learn a few things about her so far. For example, that she is in fact a kind of a self-centered and very self-interested young girl, which may be causing some kind of conflict between her and her sister, but a little bit more about that later. Now, I'm putting this individual in here as a special profile up front because his appearance in the story is quite interesting. This particular individual here, you would look at him and you would probably not notice anything particularly special about him or interesting about him. You might pass him on the street as just another everyman and not even pay him the slightest bit of attention. He's just that ordinary and plain looking, and that's probably part of his disguise. This individual, however, is a supernatural being in the story. He is not someone who just comes and goes as a mere mortal human being. He is, in fact, supernatural. We know this because he has appeared to Casey in forms that only she can see. In the storyline, he's called the salesman, and that, of course, is probably because he's selling more than trinkets and baubles. He's selling an idea. He's selling a circumstance. He's selling empowerment that is designed to capture the soul and capture the interest, of course, first, and then capture the soul of the individual who he's going after for whatever purposes he has. But this individual, I do, in fact, think is more than just a supernatural being. He has, in fact, caused Casey to harm herself. He's influenced her to do things that she would not ordinarily do, like steal things. He's influenced her. He's come to her in times when she's been in emotional distress, in times when she's been in pain, in times where she's felt she's been in danger, or in times when she's felt she's been angered or abused misused, and he's caused her to do things in supernatural forms that are not, of course, in keeping with ordinary human ability, such as break the leg of an individual without even touching that particular person. This individual, this man known as the salesman, I in fact do think is Satan himself. And if he is not in fact Satan, then he is certainly a close counterpart or minion of the Dark Lord, if you will, himself. Now, I just have to say it is not my purpose in this review to argue whether or not demon possession is real, whether exorcism is real. I am not arguing this, and I'm not looking at this program from a theological standpoint, save for as those theological elements have an interplay in the storyline itself. And so a show called The Exorcist, you should expect certain theological elements to come into play. You should expect certain supernatural elements to come into play, but it is not my purpose to argue whether these things are real or not. I am looking at this only, for the time being, as a dramatic television program that has captured my interest. So in that standpoint, let us go forward. But as I said, this being here is not human. He is a supernatural being that only Casey can see, only she can talk to, only she can interact with, and he has influenced her to do things that she would not ordinarily do, and caused her to be able to do things that she has no power to do at all, speaking in other languages she's never studied before, knowing things about people that she doesn't know and could not possibly know. So this being has some kind of influence on her, and for what purposes we have not yet to be fully informed of, but he definitely has designs on Casey, and so we know that he is a supernatural being. I am speculating also that he has had some kind of influence on her sister Catherine as well, in pertaining to another big event that caused Catherine to be very reclusive and very withdrawn, an accident that claimed the life of a friend of Catherine, whom she had a great deal of affection for, and I do in fact think that that was a supernaturally, demonically inspired event that was provoked in order to either get to Catherine or Casey, or perhaps to them both. So let's move on. Now, it is not my purpose here to delve into the entire plot so far of the Exorcist TV storyline, TV show storyline. It is my purpose to give you an overview of the series and why I find it so interesting to this point. Now, at first, I must say that I'm not really a horror show fan. I don't really get into horror a lot, whether it's TV, books, novels, comic books, whatever. But for this kind of show, for this television series, I gave it a try with the series premiere. I was reasonably impressed with it, I guess you could say. Liked it a little bit. So I thought I'd give the second episode a try. And now we're on the third episode, coming up to the fourth. And I have to say that I have been quite impressed with this story. Not simply because of its use of the, if you will, its use of the supernatural elements, but more of its use of psychology and the psychological elements that go into demonic possession. It does not rely exclusively or even primarily on the supernatural elements to drive the story forward. It relies on the psychological twist, it relies on the dramatic presentation, and it relies on good storytelling and plot devices to push the story forward, to push the envelope of what is going on in the story, with the supernatural elements primarily being used as a backdrop to tell what is going on. Now, as I said before, of course, in a program called The Exorcist, you do and should expect supernatural elements to be going on, but it is primarily the psychological component of demonic possession that makes this story so compelling and makes the character here of Casey Rance so interesting in what is happening to her. Now, we don't know how or why she came in contact with these supernatural forces. We don't know exactly or specifically what caused her to be possessed by them. We do know that it may have something at least to do with how she feels about her sister, how she feels like she plays second fiddle to her sister, how she feels that her parents may love her less than her sister, and look at her as not as graceful, as feminine, perhaps, and as of the kind of child that they would have wanted, that her sister is by comparison. So there may be some feelings of inadequacy going on here that may have spurred or given the demon a foothold into Casey's life, and that may be why she has become what she become the target and the victim that she has become of these supernatural forces. Now, we also know that Father Marcus also has his own background, which has been revealed to us in the first 3 episodes of the program. Father Marcus was a 7-year-old child when his journey began in this whole endeavor. His mother was killed right in front of him by his father. We don't know exactly why yet, but at the age of 7, he was orphaned and taken in as a ward of the church. And from at the age of 12 years old, he was taken aside to see if he had the right stuff, if you will, to be able to serve the church in the capacity of a priest, and more so in the capacity of an exorcist. At 12 years old, he was put into a locked room with a demonically possessed man to see how he would react. And instead of running away in fear, like most of the boys who these church priests did this to, he actually stayed and was relieved, in his own words, and tried to confront the demon and to see if he could exorcise the demon from the man that it had inhabited. So Father Marcus has already demonstrated a certain level of courage and bravery that is probably required to do that kind of a job, and now he's been doing it for the past 30 or 40 years of his life, which has brought him to the point that he has come to. He does, however, have some weaknesses, which is, of course, necessary for the plot and necessary for confronting, any kind of demon, which it's going to take advantage of those kinds of things. Father Marcus is a man whose faith has been fractured recently because he was, in fact, trying to exorcise a young boy of a demon in Mexico City, and that exorcism failed, and the young boy was killed by the demon. And this failure has caused Father Marcus to have some doubts about himself and doubts about his faith. But he is trying to regain that now, and he must try to regain it now if he is going to help the Rance family, and in particular Casey, who he is dealing with the demon that they are trying to get rid of in her. Now, Father Tomas, as I said, is also a very interesting character in here, in that, like the young priest in the original movie, The Exorcist, he is a very inexperienced, very worldly priest who doesn't necessarily believe in the whole idea of demonic possession. He probably thinks of that as more, old superstitious tales, old medieval tales that came out of the medieval church, and so he is a very modern guy who prefers to use psychology and prefers to look at more modern explanations for why people behave the way they do. However, Father Tomas has been recently confronted by the reality of demonic possession when he was in the Rance family home and confronted the young Casey in the attic of the home, where she tried to attack him with extra worldly strength, with other things that she could not have been capable of summoning by herself, levitation and other things of this nature. So he's been confronted with the reality of this, and now he's being confronted with even more reality of it, and this has caused him to question some of his more modern, scientifically grounded ideas and more basic ideas. Now, it's also very intriguing about Father Tomas in that he also has a weakness which Father Marcus has encouraged him to try to get rid of, and that is that Father Tomas has an old girlfriend before he became a priest, before he took his vows, that he still has a lot of affection for, and that he is still dealing with, even though this young woman is married, and even though he has taken his vows as a priest. Father Marcus has told him in no uncertain terms that if you want to help this young girl, you need to get rid of your relation. You need to sever your relationship with this married woman, even though he's not romantically involved with her anymore. He's bordering on at least having an emotional affair with her that could lead to something else later on. But Father Marcus has told him in no uncertain terms that the demon will know this, and it will take advantage of this knowledge to use it to weaken you and to destroy you. So far, however, Father Tomas is not listening to Father Marcus in this regard. So this is one element of weakness right here, or a very strong weak point, if you will, want to use those contradictory terms, that Father Tomas is dealing with in the storyline. And it's going to be intriguing to see how he handles that and how he handles some other things that are going on in his life with respect to dealing with the Rance family and helping them to overcome this problem. So this has just been a brief overview here for me and why I'm enjoying this story. I'm not delving into all of the plot points at this point, the plot details at this point, but I just wanted to give you an overview of what's happening here. And I'm looking forward to seeing how this storyline evolves, where it goes, and to see what is the conclusion. There are other mysteries that are happening in this storyline. Casey Rance is not the only person that is demonically possessed. There are others, many others out there, and there is definitely a plan going on, a coordinated plan going on between all of these demons and all of these demonically possessed people, even if we can't see the whole of it right now. So this is an interesting story. I'm compelled by it. I'll keep watching it for a little while longer to see what happens. But until the next time, this has just been an overview. If you like The Exorcist, tell me what you think, and we'll look forward to sharing some opinions. Until next time, bye for now.